The photographs of the bell-shaped craft, reports of contact from Venus, exist less than 30 years ago. Do you have any knowledge of these reports? Live Water, thank you for the donation. And then he says, we have knowledge of oneness with these forays of your time-space present. So yes, other entities, other beings are using the same type of craft, as you can see right there. We are no longer of Venus. However, there are thought forms created among your people from our time of walking among you. The memory and thought forms created therefrom are a part of your society memory complex. How interesting. How interesting. So, and that means that there's other beings that are using the same craft now. And they're apparently still, coming from Venus. The mass consciousness, as you may call it, creates the experience once more for those who request it. So this is deeply in our subconscious mass mind. The present Venus population is no longer 6 density, but there are higher dimensional beings there, apparently. And then this is the classic question. It's the next one in sequence, number 24, session 6. Do any of the UFOs that presently reported come from other planets here at this time, or do you have this knowledge? And this is where he says, I am one of the members of the Confederation of Planets in the service of the infinite creator. There are approximately 53 civilizations comprising approximately 500 individual planetary consciousness complexes in this confederation. This confederation contains those from your own planet who have attained dimensions beyond your third. 53 civilizations. And as we said last week, and other times too, Sergeant Clifford Stone had a flip book of the Heinz 57 varieties of ETs that the Legacy program had described as crash landing on Earth. So if you have 53, and then apparently there's 6 negative groups they call the Unholy Six, the George Hunt Williamson material, that adds up to 58, which is only, or 59, which is only 2 numbers off from the Heinz 57. So maybe 2 of them weren't seen by the Legacy program back then. They had identified all but 2 of the groups. It's still a stunning confirmation, as I've said before, of how well all this stuff fits together. It's pretty freaking amazing to me. Sarah just donated, says, love your show, thank you. We really appreciate the donations. Everyone who does that, you guys are awesome. Thank you for keeping us on the air. And I love you very much. And I love all of you. Thank you for being here. Do any of them come here at this time in spacecraft? Any in the past, say, 30 years? And then the answer is, we must state that this information is unimportant, and then he argues with them about that. But, for the purposes right now, I think it's important to bring it up. If you will understand that, we feel that it can be freely and acceptably offered. Okay. The law of one is what we are here to express. That's what their main focus is at all times. However, we will speak upon this subject. Thank you for the donation. Scary, stupid, strange. Each planetary entity which wishes to appear within your third-dimensional space-time distortion, these are including these are the positive beings now in the Confederation, request permission to break the quarantine, as you may call it, and appear to your peoples. And they talked about this extensively, that we were under quarantine because our free will had been infringed by previous contacts that led to negative outcomes. So now they won't just let anybody come in. It has to be approved for either the positive or the negative side. Both of them have to have approval to come into our solar system, to appear on Earth, so that we can see them. There has to be this oversight committee that basically says it's okay, so that it doesn't mess with our free will any more than it already has. They're very concerned about our free will. The reason and purpose for this appearance is understood and will either be accepted or rejected. There have been as many as 15 Confederation entities in your skies at any one time. Others will be available to you through thought. So yeah, 15 would be a lot. That'd be a huge mass sighting, with some of which we're going to see in these illustrations of artwork. At present, there are 7 operating with craft in your density. The purpose is very simple: to allow the entities of your planet to become aware of infinity, which is often best expressed to the uninformed as the mysterious or the unknown. That's a pretty cool point they're making right there. They want us to be aware of infinity. They want us to be aware that we live in an infinite universe of abundance and prosperity, and that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and that this is all going in a very positive direction for us as we move forward through space and time, that we're heading into some very cool things. So were the Egyptian entities able to see you in their skies back during the time of Egypt? And then Ra says this is correct. And then he says, what did they see and how did this affect their attitudes? And he says they saw what you would speak of as crystal-powered bell-shaped craft. There you go. That's the origin of the Egyptian winged disc formation. The same discs that we see now were being seen by the Egyptians. If you believe the law of one is credible, which I do, they make that point very clear right here, which is pretty freaking stunning if you ask me. So I love this stuff. Why is a vehicle necessary for this transition? When you, as Ra, went to Egypt earlier, you used bell-shaped craft, but you did this by thought. Can you tell me why you had to use a vehicle rather than just materializing your physical body? And then the answer was the vehicle or craft is the thought form upon which our concentration may function as a motivator. We would not choose to use our own mind-body-spirit complexes, that's the physical and spiritual body that they have, as the focus for such a working. So they create a vehicle for themselves to travel in, basically. Now, he asks again, session 70, question 18, when you came to this planet in craft 18,000 and 11,000 years ago, these craft have been called, I believe, Bell craft, photographed by George Adamski. By the way, we had 2 donations come in.